I wish I miscarried you. What sin did I commit in the past life to have you? Spat on my face regularly when I was a child, physically and verbally abused me beyond extreme. One day, when I was almost 10, I was in the bathtub. I was sad because my mother had been yelling at me for a short while ago. My mother runs in and tells me there is a fire in the basement and we need to get out of the house. I went to grab some clothes, but she said there was no time for that. So she pulls me outside and into the car. We then drive off with my sister sitting next to me. She is laughing because I am naked. A few miles down the road, Mom stopped the car. She told me to get out of the car. I told her I couldn't because I didn't have any clothes on. She got out and opened my door and pulled me out. She got back in and locked the doors. I asked, how will I get home? She replied, just hitch a ride with someone. I am sure a stranger would just love to give you a ride. She starts laughing and drives off, leaving me on the side of the road crying. I go hide in some bushes. After a while, I start to walk home. After about 15 minutes, a car slowly approaches me. It stopped in front of me. After a minute, someone gets out and walks towards me. I can't see who it is because the headlights are in my eyes. I'm shaking in fear of who it might be. It was my mom laughing her ass off. She said, "Damn, I was hoping someone would pick you up." She told me to get back into the car unless I wanted to walk home like that. On the way home, she tells me, "Maybe the next time you tell me you wish you had a different mother, you'll remember how easy it would be for me to get rid of you." I was crying all the way home. My sister sat with her eyes wide open and mouth hanging open. She grabbed my hand and held it tightly. This is so sad. I can't believe a mother would be so cruel. I just can't believe. My dad pointed a kukri at my mom's belly just a month before I was born because of family issues. They have told many things, but once my mother confessed that how they wanted a son, but they got a daughter again. My father wasn't there at the time of my birth and didn't talk to my mother for almost 3 months. It was cesarean section, but she had to endure all that pain without a partner by her side. Although he loves me so much now, but I don't think I'll ever forget that. It sometimes makes me feel that how unwanted I was and was the reason for my mother's suffering. I don't love you, but I expect things from you. We wanted to abort you, but couldn't as it was too late. You are an absolute failure in life and you won't be able to hold a good relationship with your spouse. You're just jealous of your siblings' success. I was repeatedly raped by a neighbor when I was 7 years old. I didn't want my mother to find out because she was a single mother working 3 jobs to support me and my brother, and she cried enough as it was. We lived in a trailer that had holes in the floor so that sometimes raccoons and opossums would climb through. I was scared of them. The carpet was infested with fleas. I usually had flea bites all over my body. I never felt clean. We got clothes from Goodwill, but they were usually old, faded, and stained. My mother did the best she could. We were all alone in the world. We lived in a rural area that was unforgiving of those who deviated from the norm. My mother tried to baptize me when I was a baby, only to be turned away by the local preacher because I was a bastard. We were not welcome in their churches, which were an important part of rural life there. I didn't have friends at school. I was weird, dirty, ugly, too quiet, etc. Even most of the teachers looked at me and my brother in disgust. We were the XXX family. I grew up with the understanding that I was worthless. that I should be ashamed of who I am. I barely said a word through most of my childhood. I didn't say a word to anyone when they pushed me around, taunted me endlessly, beat up my brother and I. I never said a word when my neighbor, who interestingly was widely regarded as an outstanding member of society, raped me. I had a very solitary life. My mother was usually gone at work. My brother would devote himself to his own activities, and there I was. I remember I would sit outside of my room and pretend to be a rock because rocks didn't feel anything. And they certainly didn't cry. They were indestructible, I thought. I overheard one of the other little girls discussing the prayer they said before bedtime, and I resolved to remember it. It went like this: As I lay down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I shall die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. I thought about this prayer for the rest of the day until I went home and decided on my own version. Dear God, I don't want to live anymore. There are other people begging you to keep them alive. Let me take their place. I'll die. I was about 8 years old. But I didn't die, much to my dismay. I woke up the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. The day went by. My situation didn't greatly improve. People weren't much nicer to me, and my life didn't get easier. But I got stronger. I discovered books as a way to escape from my tedious existence, and by the time I was in fifth grade, I was reading at a college level. I grew up and gained control over my life. I was no longer the defenseless, powerless victim I had been as a child. I had power. I could do whatever I wanted. I got a job, I studied hard, so I could go to a good college. I escaped from my small, unforgiving town. I have a good job now and good relationships. People who know me now would never guess I was once that hungry, miserable, terrified, beaten down little girl I had been back then. As for my family, my mother still lives in that trailer. My neighbor is long dead. My older brother still lives with my mother. He has never gotten a driver's license or a job. He doesn't leave the house very often. A part of me understands his reluctance. Why let the world do you more harm when it has already done you so much? But I wish he would take the chance. If you want to know how to get through hard things, my answer is probably inadequate, but it is the best I have to offer. My answer is keep going. Such a beautiful story. I really loved it. When I was hospitalized, the doctors told me they weren't sure how I was alive. My mom called and said, I think the one thing I miss about you being here is our fighting. This came from my abusive mother, who only missed abusing me. The hospital wasn't far and she had no job, so she had all the time in the world to visit me, but she didn't. Luckily, I have a loving dad who cared enough to visit. I am much better now, and mom is out of our lives. I'm elliptic, needed a place to stay, and got kicked out of a couple different friends' houses after having seizures because they didn't want to deal with it. It was absolutely horrible to go through. Had to survive 3 months homeless with severe epilepsy. Thinking about it still makes me cry. I despise the human race now. We truly are absolutely disgusting creatures. Scratch that. The worst thing someone ever said to me was when the woman who raised me, who was abusive, felt the tumors in my breasts when I was 16 and told me it was normal and to forget about it and accept it as a part of growing. Years later, a doctor told me that because of some symptoms I had been experiencing, the tumors were likely malignant and I needed to seek a specialist or more equipped hospital to find out for sure. I spent years thinking I was dying before I got pregnant and was able to attain free health care, so was tested at that time and confirmed finally to be benign. She was going to let me die though. She hated me. Alright, guys, this was it for today. This topic actually is very close to my heart and a very intense one as well. You know, when I see people sharing their sufferings, when I hear stories like these, my pain, my sufferings seem like nothing. They seem so little. But at the same time, I remind myself that one pain cannot be compared to another, and one person's suffering cannot be lesser or more than another's. So, and I think this is very true. I think each one of us have gone through a lot in our lives that has only made us stronger, only made us grow into a better person. Talking about this video, I loved all the stories. They all are so sad. Some of them are inspiring, but most of them really made my heart feel heavy. But yeah, I think it's beautiful. So if you like my content, which is basically to share stories of this kind or any kind, I share posts, comments, and also a lot of other texts which is in my mind, which I'll keep bringing up to you. If you like the idea and the content and the videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell so you will be notified every time I'm online on YouTube. Please consider giving feedbacks. I really appreciate it. And I come up with new videos every Tuesday and Saturday. So I'll see you coming Saturday. Until then, be humble, be kind, be happy, and yeah, goodbye.